Hi guys, Olive here. Here today to talk about 10 great booktubers whose content I think you should be watching. I try to do one of these shout out videos per year because I know how difficult it can be to discover new booktubers, who you connect with or who you share reading taste with. But because I'm also a booktuber, over the course of the year, I do hear about a number of great new channels. And so once per year, I like to take a moment to sit down and recognize those great channels and to point you in their direction if you want some great new content in your feed. Very quickly before I get started, I like to be fully transparent about my criteria for choosing people to be on this list. Every single year when I start compiling my list of booktubers to shout out, I try to choose people who I've been watching for a substantial period of time, so a few months or longer. I choose people who have fewer than 1,000 subscribers. I choose people who have posted a new video within the last 2 months and also who I feel fairly confident will continue posting videos. And finally, I choose people who read at least somewhat similar books to me. So if you enjoy watching my channel, as I hope you do since you're here watching, then I think there's a really good chance you will also enjoy theirs. So without any further ado, let me tell you about the booktubers. The first person I would like to highlight is Pippa from Pages with Pippa S. I discovered her channel during Nonfiction November and I've been watching ever since. I would say out of the total 10 people on this list, there are 2 who I wouldn't consider to have strictly booktube channels since they post other types of content, and Pippa is one of those 2 people. I've seen her post cooking videos, beauty videos, fitness videos, and I honestly really like that. It's nice to have some new types of content in my subscription feed. From what I've seen of her channel, I don't think Pippa has done any of the introductory booktube tag types of videos. I'm sure you know the ones I mean, where people introduce themselves to the booktube community and talk about what they like to read. So I do feel that in certain ways I'm still getting to know her, which is a ton of fun. I love that process of getting to know a new booktuber. But from what I've gathered so far, I believe that Pippa is in her 20s and I think she lives in the Bahamas. And from what I've seen of her channel, it seems like she reads memoir, romance, literary fiction, thrillers, a nice variety of things, which is exactly the type of book channel I love to watch. But even though she didn't do the booktube newbie tag and all of that jazz, she did make an introduction video for her channel. And in that video, she talked about how the name of her channel kind of says it all, and that she wants the things featured on her channel to be things that can be written down on a page. So obviously that includes books, but also magazines, news articles, recipes, maybe even song lyrics. I just love that concept. I cannot wait to see more from her. The second booktuber on this list is Katie from Katie Reads and Rants, and I would say that out of all of the booktubers on this list, I think Katie and I have the most similar taste in books, and then the books we have in common, I've found that we normally have very similar opinions on them as well. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. So of course, if we share a reading taste, Katie reads a lot of nonfiction, particularly history, but then she also reads historical fiction, thrillers, sci-fi. Again, I tend to like to watch booktubers who read from a variety of genres. And just like with Pippa's channel name, Katie's channel name is very telling. She is extremely blunt, very honest. When she's giving her opinions about books, you always know that when she's sitting down to talk about the books that she's read, she's giving you her real opinion, which I very much appreciate. I love her channel. Next up is Emma from the Overstuffed Shelf, and in addition to being a booktuber, Emma is also a scientist and a PhD student. So a very busy person, basically. But even though I'm sure she is so busy, Emma has very consistently been putting up videos since she started on BookTube, and I, for one, am extremely impressed by that. According to one video of hers that I recently saw, she said that about 1/3 of what she reads is nonfiction, and then I remember one of her earliest videos that I saw when I started watching her way back when, she said that within nonfiction, she most enjoys reading essay collections, which I thought was so intriguing. But also, in addition to nonfiction, she also reads mysteries, fantasy, literary fiction, and some classics. I just love her videos. I find her to be completely charming. I think she's a natural on camera, and I'm really glad that she felt inspired to join the community after discovering BookTube during the early stages of quarantine. Then there's the lovely Roxy from Rec Me Books and Stuff. Roxy is a Chilean booktuber, and she's actually been making videos for quite some time now, and I personally do not understand why she does not have more subscribers, because she's incredibly entertaining and she reads some really awesome stuff. In her channel description, Roxy wrote that she enjoys reading modern classics, essays, memoir, short stories, history, and books about books. And I have found all of that to be incredibly accurate. I think the thing I love most about Roxy's channel is that I have the ability to discover new books there. That has become increasingly difficult for me over the years. I feel like I've heard about so many new books that discovering new books is kind of a challenge for me. But in addition to just watching her channel and being entertained by it, because I love hearing her takes on books, I love that there's always a possibility that she might hold up a book that I have never heard of before. She is extremely personable. Watching her videos feels like you're sitting down with a friend talking about books, which I think are the ultimate types of BookTube videos. And her enthusiasm about everything she reads, it is positively infectious in a good way. Next up, there's Brendan from the very fittingly named Brendan Reads, and this is actually Brendan's second go-around with having a BookTube channel. On one of his videos, I forget which one it was, but he talked about the fact that about 2 years ago, he gave having a BookTube channel a try, but then Bookstagram became more of his priority for a period of time, but now he's back to making videos, and he seems to be very committed to it. He seems to be enjoying it, which is always wonderful to see. Unsurprisingly, because he's on this list, Brendan does read some nonfiction. I know he read and loved the new Sylvia Plath biography, Red Comet. That was one of my top nonfiction books of last year. And he and I also share an interest in Caitlin Doughty. I really love her books, and I know he does as well. And then additionally, I remember hearing him say that he loves old Hollywood. So I would hope at some point, maybe we'll see some books on old Hollywood on his channel. But in addition to nonfiction, I know he also reads horror, literary fiction, classics, and some YA, although it does seem like he's moving away from YA. Brendan makes a wide variety of types of videos on his channel, and I find him so enjoyable to watch. I love the way he expresses himself. I think he's a great reviewer. And also, I really love that it seems like he's just making the types of videos that he wants to make. He's doing what works for him. Like, just for example, in his BookTube newbie tag, he's answering the questions for that tag, but he's chopping up peppers at the same time. And sometimes he's talking with his hands and flinging this knife around as he's making his points. I've never seen anything else like it on BookTube, and I loved it. The next channel I'd like to mention is the second channel that's not as strictly a BookTube channel as all the others. Pippa was the first person like that, and Satopine is the second. Sato is Japanese, but she just recently moved to the US, so first of all, welcome. She reads romance, historical fiction, and some nonfiction. I know she said in one of her videos that she picks up the occasional memoir, but she really strikes me as the kind of person who would become an avid nonfiction fan if the right types of nonfiction books found their way into her hands. Just throwing that out there. She does make a lot of book-related videos, but she also produces a number of vlogs that showcase her everyday life. And if you look back at the history of her channel, that's actually what she started off her channel doing. She was just doing vlogs, but then she moved into making a mix of vlogs and book-related content, which is still what she's doing right now. And again, I really like that. It's nice to have different types of content in my subscription feed, and her vlogs are absolutely beautiful. They're relaxing, they're well put together. She seems like a positively lovely person, and I'm really glad that I discovered her channel. The next booktuber I'd like to shout out is Jenny from Whatsbookin. Jenny lives in Atlanta, and she has been consistently making videos for just over a year now. So happy booktube anniversary, Jenny. Jenny reads extremely widely. She reads literary fiction, historical fiction, but she says particularly well-researched historical fiction about more obscure time periods. She reads fantasy, romance, and also, of course, nonfiction, especially science and history. Obviously, we do have a lot of overlap there, but hers is another channel where I feel like I can discover books I've never even heard of before. Jenny has a really really solid presentation style in her videos. She presents things very clearly, very confidently, and she comes prepared, which I personally think is paramount when you have a YouTube channel. I have watched a number of her videos over the past few months, and I have found all of them to be infinitely worth my time. There is one specialist booktuber on this list, and that is the wonderful Kim from Bookmarks and Breadsticks. Kim loves nonfiction, but more specifically within nonfiction, she reads almost exclusively nonfiction food writing. And that doesn't mean cookbooks, that means things like chef memoirs, histories of specific ingredients, specific foods, books about the food industry, all of those types of things. She reads so many of these types of books on food. Most of them are nonfiction. She will pick up the occasional fiction book, but normally even the fiction she picks up has food writing in it, and she does a ton of reviews on her channel. From what I've gathered, it seems like Kim works in the food industry, and I know she also curates a quarterly subscription box called Read It and Eat, which always contains a food-related nonfiction book, and then items, food items normally, that relate back to the central theme of that food book. Food and food writing is just so clearly her passion. I was so excited when I found her channel because I love food writing. And I know that when I watch one of her videos that I'm hearing from someone with a tremendous amount of passion for this area and a tremendous amount of expertise. There are two more booktubers on this list. The next person I would like to mention is Brittany from Literarily Smitten. Brittany lives in New York State and reads a lot of historical fiction. I know she also reads classics and some nonfiction, mainly history books. And I know within history and historical fiction, Brittany really likes Russia-related things. So obviously we have that overlap in our interests. She also likes to read seasonally, which is another thing that we have in common. I'm always very intrigued by her picks. I really like her style. I admire how committed she's been to her channel since getting started, and I definitely think she deserves more attention. And then the final booktuber on this list is the lovely Annie Mcnulty. Annie is American, but she's currently living in Japan, where she works as an English teacher. Annie reads a little bit of everything, but I do know her number one favorite genre is sci-fi, so she reads more from that genre than anything else, but she also does read literary fiction, thrillers, and some nonfiction, and we tend to have a lot of overlap when it comes to our tastes in nonfiction. Annie likes baking and plants and yoga. She makes really beautiful vlogs showing us around Japan, showing us things that go on in her everyday life. Her channel is just colorful and happy. That's really the best way I can put it. I have found that it's basically impossible to be in a bad mood when you watch one of her videos. That's like trying to watch Clueless and be in a bad mood. It has been such a joy watching her videos over the past few months when things have been so dreary, weather-wise and otherwise, so I highly recommend her channel. So those are 10 great booktube channels that I highly recommend. All of them will be linked in the description box below if you want to go check out their channels. I highly encourage that you do so. And also, if you decide to subscribe, which I also highly encourage, be sure to leave them a comment saying hello and telling them that I sent you, just so that they're not confused if they start getting a whole bunch of subscribers at one time. And if you're looking for even more recommendations, I will also, in the description box below, link all of the previous booktuber shoutouts videos that I've done over the years, because a lot of the channels that I mention in those videos, they're still up and running. Those people are still making amazing content here on BookTube. So just because the videos are a little bit older, they can still be great resources for you. Any comments or questions you may have about anything you've seen in this video or about anything in general can of course go in the comment section below. And if you would like to keep up with what I'm reading and writing about right now, you can find me on social media and various other places around the internet. The links to everywhere you can find me will also be in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.